Uh, he just putting it on the spot is weird.
I know, right? Yeah.
This is weird. It is weird.
You know what else is weird? That you're not subscribed to our Patreon. So go to patreon.com/AOTVcast and support us if you want a bunch of exclusive content and extra shit and early access and no ads. Go support us.
That's good.
We love you.
Dunks.
Some Nike SB Dunks.
No, not SB Dunks. The Dunk Lows, actually. And I just got like Pandas, like the regular one. And I'm like stoked about it because I've been trying to get those fucking shoes since like April. And it was always super annoying because you'd always hit me up and you'd be like, oh, hey, man, these things are restocking or whatever. And I'm like, fucking when, dude? And I kept looking at it over and over on the Nike app, and it would never come up. And then not long ago, I saw it said like coming soon. I'm like, okay, so I set a fucking alarm for that morning. Liz from Calle Ocho, shout out Calle Ocho.
Calle Ocho.
She messaged me and was like, hey, these things are coming out. I'll remind you, whatever. I was like, okay, cool. And she gave me all these pointers, like, one, like, be sure you're right next to your Wi-Fi.
Make sure you have a bot or two.
This is like 2, make sure that you clear like your internet like
cache or
whatever the fuck, and also to be sure that you order like in your size, but if you don't get them in your size, order them in another size because they're an easy flip. And I was like, all right, cool. So that whole fucking morning, dude, I was just there, and the thing is, like, I'd never experienced it before, but I saw that it was like, it tells you the price. Once it tells you the price, it means like you're able to like buy them, right? So I press the buy button, or like I submit payment or whatever. I already had all my payment information in. Submit information, and then it says pending for a while, and I'm like, fuck, right? And it kept sitting pending, and then it would say like error, like this item cannot be added, and I was like, fuck. So I was like super annoyed, but I kept going over and over and over again, and eventually it just said like my card notification, like it says like from Capital One, oh, this purchase was approved at Nike or whatever, and I'm like, all right, that means it got them, right? And then I just see like there in my orders, it's like it says that it that I got the thing.
Choose.
So I was like super stoked about it.
I don't know why I'm wearing sunglasses right now. Honestly, I'm take them off.
Cool,
stupid.
dude. You're a cool guy. Hey, what's going on? We're in my living room.
Roger's living room.
We're right now we're kind of like not necessarily in between anything, but it's just we've got a lot of planning and stuff to do. So we've been back to the usual mobile setup, so we can just kind of set up to record whenever. But we'll be back in the studio like ASAP. So
yeah, probably this next episode you see we'll be back in the studio.
Yeah. So what was I gonna say?
You're gonna say that
stop watching this episode right now.
Oh right, yeah. Before we go any further,
if you haven't watched Nope, we're gonna be talking about Nope.
We're gonna talk about Nope all day, every day.
Nope, and I think like a little dive into like the American horror stories that aren't like or sci-fi stories that aren't necessarily like this, like not American Horror Story. The fucking
you had me confused for a second.
Not the series. I didn't
brush up on my fucking Lady Gaga.
No, I meant the classic American horror stories that have come up. Things, you know, you've got your zombies, you've got your UFOs,
your zombie wombs.
You've got all these kind of things, folk horror and stuff like that as well.
Is that like exclusively American though? I feel like that is all over the world type of thing.
Oh sure, but I mean I think wasn't like the original,
like zombies for sure. Because George A. Romero was like, dude, zombies.
Yeah, but UFOs too, right? Like the original,
UFOs definitely not, bro.
But I'm not saying it's exclusive to America. I'm saying it started as like an American.
Did it start? I don't know. I feel like
we can look it up during this thing. But either way, for right now, hit that motherfucking theme.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found faster than light.
I'm 100% sure.
Our direction of the President of the United States. Stay in your home.
Is it human or inhuman? Earthly or unearthly?
Born in that swirling inferno of radioactive dust, there is no word to describe them.
We may be witnesses to a biblical prophecy come true.
Why is it that we usually ignore the fourth dimension?
Is this the human race of the future?
Aliens on the border.
All right, man. That was a cool ass intro song that we didn't get to hear because we're not wearing headphones. So it was just like a 30-second pause of like awkward silence here, and Ghost looking at us like, "Why'd you guys stop talking behind the camera?" Ghost is behind the camera today, by the way.
He's behind the camera. He's operating the camera today.
So nope, dude. Was that the cat? No, there is no cats in here.
It's there. It's right.
No, there's nothing. He's under me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see. UFO stories origination or origins.
No, because Christopher Columbus has a UFO story that he wrote in his fucking diary. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it's a USO because it came out of the fucking ocean.
The sea object,
Unidentified
submerged object.
Maybe.
UFO stories, American.
Because the original one, or like the most mainstream original one, was like Roswell, right? 1947. That's like when it happened. But Christopher Columbus has one written in his diary. There's an old painting prior even to that where there's like, is it the rebirth of Jesus? One of those Renaissance paintings or whatever. It has a UFO in the background. There's UFOs in like Sumerian hieroglyphs.
Sure,
papyrus.
I'm not.
The original
I'm not
Sumerian
disputing-
story is the aliens.
I'm not disputing that like they exist in everywhere else, but I think like science fiction and movies in general like was an exclusively American thing at some point, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. Now I'm curious as to like where did the first sci-fi story? Because
Sci-fi movie.
H.P. Lovecraft was an American, was he?
The first sci-fi story is A Trip to the Moon, and it was
Was it American?
It looks like it was adapted. No, it was adapted from. Shit, I don't know, dude. This is right. That's this. Remember this?
No, but that's a creepy ass picture.
It is a creepy picture.
That's
This
fucking
is,
scary. I think that, like,
It's
I understand
French.
where you're. Oh, it's French. Nice. I understand what you're getting at though, because like for like the Twilight Zone and all this shit like comes from American TV in like the 50s or 60s, right? And then like a lot of the whole famous War of the Worlds thing with the radio show that everybody was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is happening for real. How funny is it that now we're back to like radio shit, like not necessarily, but in a way because of like podcasting and shit.
Yeah, and I mean maybe it does say a lot of here like U.S. television science fiction, and even in the radios there's like a pretty popular story about a UFO invasion happening and that people were panicking and calling.
Yeah, they were reading the War of the Worlds, like a dramatization of it. Like,
oh yeah, okay.
that's
I
what
thought
happened.
was it War of the Worlds?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was War of the Worlds.
Well, that whole so okay, like leading into this is gonna be an episode about Nope, and the reason why we decided to kind of just like dive into this is because I feel like we were both kind of I think we went to go watch it with my girlfriend. It was me, my girlfriend.
She was third wheeling with us.
Yeah, she was third wheeling with us, and she
Hated it. No, I'm playing.
she liked it, but not as much as like we liked it, because like my girlfriend was sitting like on this side or whatever, and we'd be like eating popcorn, and something would happen. I'd turn, I look at her, and she'd just be like watching
Unamused.
like unamused. And I turn back and I look back at Josh, and Josh would be like, "What the fuck, bro?"
yeah, for sure.
So I know we just kind of like.
Yeah, that was the cat for sure.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
it. I think I saw it. I saw something. I don't know what that was.
You heard that, right?
Yeah, the thud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, let's hear some baby crying or some baby laughter, and it's just.
I'm not joking, dude. He does this shit. And
Bro,
the cat-
stop,
the
Gertst.
cat doesn't thud into.
All right, we need to go look at what the
Yeah,
fuck that was.
That was not the cat.
Do you want to go look at that?
I kind of do, yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, so as we were talking about this shit, we just heard like a loud ass thud that we cannot identify the source of, but it was very fucking clear. Maybe hopefully you guys hear it in the audio.
We've had this whole thing about there being some weird shit going on in my house,
And then also Ghost was just kind of staring at the hallway like, what the fuck? Very confused.
that's a different kind of sci-fi horror film.
What were we talking about right now?
We were talking about
yeah,
no.
okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that was wild. That was weird. So, what do you want to get into?
I was saying like I was super entertained by it, but I think you and I were entertained by it for a different reason, and that's just because they really fucking nailed like how ominous it would be to see something like that in the sky.
Yeah, for sure.
It was less of a an at face like alien film, like Alien, you know, where it's like, oh, this thing's attacking and killing people or whatever the fuck. This other one, like, it starts off very mysteriously, and again, spoiler alert: if you haven't like watched this, go and watch it.
Yeah, stop watching this episode.
It starts off, you know, it starts off with the monkey. Remember, it starts off
with the whole.
So there's this weird and
it's like an interwoven story.
We'll talk a little bit about like what the theme is, because a lot of the conversation around Jordan Peele films is that he really
subliminal messages.
Yeah, not necessarily, not even subliminal. Sometimes they're just very like spoon fed, but he does this like interwoven story, or I guess like critique of like social commentary. Yeah, like he always goes into something about it. Get Out was a big thing about like racism. Us was also about like institutionalized racism and stuff like that. Or institutional racism, like the systematic stuff. This one, I was kind of wondering like what it was gonna be, regarding like the theme, and I think it was a lot more of a story of, and actually CEO kind of helped me see that one a little bit more, but a story about American like voyeurism, like a big part of like content, entertainment, the American like showsmanship that was going on around that time also. And now what we see is like the constant need for stories and entertainment, and for content to just be like blasted at you each time. And instead of being wary of the creatures or like the organisms or the things that we're affecting for our own entertainment, we're just more worried about whether or not we can capture this on camera. And there was that was, I think, a good basis of that story. So it starts off with, and we thought we didn't know if it was part of the movie at all at first. Like,
I thought it was just like a opening credit thing, but then it turned out like they explained it later on. But
so there's a chimp that is
just goes ape shit literally.
Yeah, you don't really see what's happened in this story until later, but the chimp is walking around bloodied up. There's
bodies.
There's screaming. There's all this kind of stuff there. The chimp slowly turns and looks at the camera, and then it cuts to like the opening scene. Yeah. So the main character, this dude is
great actor.
Yeah, what's his name?
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, right. So, and the same guy from Get Out. I want to say Let Go. I don't want to say Let Go. But he was also in
he wasn't in Us, right?
No, he was in Black Panther though.
Oh yeah, he was the homeboy, right?
Yeah,
the one that was like, "I'm gonna betray you," but nah, I'm not. After all.
What's it called? So yeah. Anyway, they have him. He's holding onto a horse. What was his dad? Was that
the actor that's his dad is Chubbs. No, it's not Chubbs. It's not Chubbs from. I was thinking about Happy Gilmore, but it's. Fuck, who is it? He's like a very... Oh, he comes out in They Live next to Roddy Piper. I forgot his fucking name. But he's like a very... He's played so many characters.
David.
Yeah, there you go. Keith David. Shout out to They Live.
Okay, well, yeah. So he's
that was right there, right?
Yeah, it was there. He's on the and Keke Palmer's also there. But anyway, he's on a horse. Whatever. It becomes apparent later in the film that it's a horse training ranch for
Hollywood
for Hollywood horses, for Hollywood acting horses, I guess. The things that they use for like set films and stuff, and that becomes apparent later on. But while they're doing that, like while they're I think he's rigged up a battery to have like the horses kind of going, walking around in a circle, and as he's leaving, he's leading one of the horses to a stable, and the horse kind of freaks out. Right? Is that the part where the horse?
Yeah, the horse, like a lot of shit is going on in the background, like it's getting like overcast or whatever. It kind of looks like a storm is rolling in or some shit, and the horse is like acting weird. And then it starts like raining stuff.
Yeah, you just hear like this like
sound of coins and a bunch of other shit.
It sounds like bullets actually. Like if you hear these,
because they're going like really fucking fast.
So all these things are like hitting whatever, and then you see it hit, or you see the guy who plays his dad. You see him kind of slump over on his horse. And he just kind of falls off,
and the horse runs off.
Yeah. And later, he's bleeding, he's like delirious, and they're driving to the hospital, and he dies. And when they kind of zoom in on him, he has like a slit in his eye, from where he had a quarter that just
flew into his skull,
flew and penetrated his skull and killed him.
Yeah. I was so confused at this point in time because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, how are they going to approach this? Like, why is shit falling out of the sky? It becomes, like, they'll tell you why later, but, like, at that point in time, since, like, there's no context for it, it's just, like, okay, what angle are they going to take on the whole, like, alien UFO thing? Like, is it fucking, like, did they accidentally, like, create some sort of, like, magnetic storm that dragged a bunch of crazy shit that, like, flew out into the world? I don't know.
I didn't know what to make of it either. I thought it was just like a magnetism thing too. But
same.
The next scene really sets the theme for what happens with or how the movie is like segmented per se. Like the first each chapter of the movie is
the name of a different
taken
horse.
by not even just the horse, but also the monkey, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So each chapter is like, it's Lucky, and then Gordy, and then I don't remember the name of the other ones, right? Of the other horses, but each one of these it's based on the animal and not on the horse or the animal or whatever's being put here, but not like the names of the characters or anything like that. So I thought that was a really cool like way of like segmenting off the film. Before we really dive into like what happens in the rest of this film, what did you go in expecting?
Honestly, I was expecting some kind of like Dark Skies / The Fourth Kind, but with like a different twist. Like, I was like, what is gonna be the Jordan Peele like sauce that's gonna go into like this concoction? Because I feel like it's gonna be right up that alley, especially with the previews. Like, I was like, okay, there has to be abduction for sure, just based on what I saw in the preview. Maybe like some Signs type shit where it's
I was going Signs 100%,
like a little creepy a la verga glimpse type of thing.
Yeah, because so that
Signs, dude, very fucking amazing movie, by the way.
Absolutely,
haven't seen it in a while.
The thing about this also is, so I went in expecting Signs, and I think we got a movie that was like, I guess, how would I say it? The thing that I really enjoyed about this movie was that it was less an at-face story of like an abduction or an invasion or any of that kind of stuff, and actually a story about animals, organisms, and to me, I think when
sky whales,
when we were like watching the movie, I remember like kind of like whispering shit to Josh, and I remember the one thing was like there's a line in the movie that really sets it up where the guy's like, what if it's not a ship? You know, like, what if it's living? What if it's an organism? And I think that, and that obviously like opens it up to other stories, which is a take on a classic UFO story that I just hadn't heard of before, which is why I really enjoyed that. But let's talk the scenes, dude. When you first saw the UFO and the way they like, and I'm so glad that I knew it was a UFO story, but I hadn't seen any of the trailers because fuck, dude. If I had the
only trailer that I saw didn't give anything away. Honestly.
That's great, dude. Because the trailer that I saw when there's a part where they show a UFO.
Oh fuck!
And I was like, that's what a. But I saw it after the fact, and I was like, what a awful way to give that part away of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're watching this and you've gotten this far and you still haven't switched off. Don't watch
any of the trailers.
We already gave away
the entire movie,
the part of the movie. Yeah, but so yeah, the first glimpse of the UFO. What do you think?
I was still on the traditional UFO lane.
Right.
I was like, oh fuck, especially because the build up to it was dope. Where it was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, this is crazy because. The whole they set up the whole security system or whatever the fuck, and then there's that grasshopper that's just like in the way of that main camera where the fucking thing is at. And I was like, come on, this is fucking crazy. And like, I don't know, like I was still thinking like, damn, like the aliens they're portraying in this movie or whatever the fuck are like on a different level shit, like manipulate other organisms to cover for them and shit. Like what the fuck? But
I think that was just coincidence, no?
Yeah, like probably, but I've had this weird. This is unrelated in a sense, just because it's still like an alien topic. But I've had like this weird recurring dream every now and then, where like there's a presence that is in whatever dream scene I'm in, and it's like apparent that it's not of here, like almost like if Predator was like hiding in a tree somewhere. And in my dream, like I feel watched, right? So I look in the direction of wherever the fuck that feeling is coming from, and then like I get like something gets in the way. Like the last time that I had it, it was like I turned in the direction where this thing was, and I just got bombarded with like pebbles to like look away, and I was like, what the fuck? And it was weird. Like in any time that it's happened, like and I look into the direction of wherever this entity is, it's like. It gives me like a fucking headache and like almost like if I'm looking into the sun type of thing. So I have to like look away. I don't know. So when that happened with the unrelated again, but when that happened with the grasshopper, like my mind kind of just like connected that dot that's like super unrelated to the movie.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, so
like
we
manipulating something else to like redirect your attention.
We went, we kind of jumped a little bit from here, but there is a part like in the plot where they make the decision. Keke Palmer's in the movie, right? Keke Palmer is
what's she known for?
A couple different movies. I don't know.
I feel like they wanted me to know who she was, but I just didn't.
I just know the name because my girlfriend mentioned it so many times.
Oh, okay. Something over here. I don't know. It's probably. I think it was your fridge, like with the
ice, maybe.
Yeah.
I thought I heard it.
I heard it whatever.
Here. Dude, it'd be cool if finally something happens here and like you get to see it. Like I want one of those chairs over there to just fucking like it by itself, dude.
Oh, dude. Okay, so like, what if it's just like someone fucking like walks out and just fades away?
Oh, no, never mind. I don't want that to happen. No. Anyway, so they Keke Palmer comes out in the movie as the sister of the main character and also main character herself, as is established later. And she wants to fucking flip the ranch to turn into a cash cow. Like they want to make some fucking money, right? Like that was that was the plan. And as they're doing this, like they're like selling off a horse to Stephen Yen, the guy from Walking Dead,
aka Glenn,
who owns what's like an amusement park. In
like
this
a
area.
Western theme
amusement park. And
he's like a child star person that is like, I don't know, has some prominence or whatever.
So at this point, while they're there, he's trying to strike a deal. He is in the main character. I'm just gonna look at his name.
I forgot his name.
I keep forgetting his name. But
we'll be honest, I forgot everyone's name from the movie.
Otis
Junior.
Yeah, Otis Jr. And Emerald or M.
Yeah, okay.
And then they have Ricky, which was Steven Ewan, and then the tech salesman, which is Angel.
Odd, like really reminded me of the guy from Euphoria, the guitar guy.
I don't know who that is. I don't know why he reminded me of, or he really played a role really similar to what's his name? I want to say it's like Richard Ahmad or something like that. The guy from Nightcrawler that plays his apprentice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With the Riz Ahmad, Riz, I don't know, whatever. Well,
isn't he a comedian too, or no?
No,
is it?
Not that I know of. But
I know who you're talking about though. Yeah.
He was in The Night of also, and anyway, he was in Star Wars Rogue One, which is the best Star Wars movie. Period. So there was a whole conversation about like that happening, and Otis is just like, I'm not gonna change the way that the way that any of this works. I'm not gonna sell the ranch. I'm not gonna do any of that kind of stuff.
Traditional patriarchy role.
Yeah, it was something like that, and they as they were doing that, then they start seeing things,
crazy shit.
Yeah, shit happening with the UFO, right?
My favorite part was like kind of the build up where it was like, look at this cloud.
Yeah, same here.
And it doesn't fucking move.
Yeah, so
like,
that's after. So some shit happens, and the guy was gonna do this. That he does the thing with the decoy at first, right? Which was he steals, or she actually M
steals the decoy from the fucking Party Boy Ranch or whatever.
Yeah, from the ranch, and they put down this fake horse with like with some flags on it, for the thing to abduct.
For the UFO,
yeah, for the UFO to abduct. And did they have the cameras at this point? I don't even remember.
No, that was before they had the cameras. No, it was after. Yeah, never mind. You're right. Because the first thing that happens is, before they get the cameras, they smoke a J or whatever. They smoke a blunt, and then Otis goes out to go check on the horses, and there's like this crazy ass sound, and that's when the fake aliens attack the barn. Remember? And she's in the house, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And she sees some shit, and then she gets freaked out too. And then he's like, "You see, I'm telling you, there's some shit going on." So then they go to the neighborhood Geek Squad store, and that's where they meet the homeboy that sets up their security system.
Yeah.
And then she steals the decoy. They put it on there, and that's where the grasshopper's like covering the camera and all that shit that night, the night of. But like the next day, homeboy goes to the house and he was like, "I didn't believe you guys, but now I fucking do. Check this shit out." And they're like, "You fucking see?" They go through the footage and shit, and there's this like one cloud that doesn't fucking move, and all the other clouds are like passing by and shit. And they're like, "You see, it's fucking crazy."
It's just chilling there behind the cloud, camouflaged and shit. And around this time is when so backing up a little bit, when they're at the amusement park thing. Jupe, I think the guy's name was Steven Yen. He's his character is talking about how he used to be like a child star.
Yeah.
And he had a bunch of memorabilia of this I guess scene that happened. And what he was part of a live audience filmed sitcom where a monkey that they were using just went nuts and murdered everyone. Like nearly everybody
except him and this other girl.
Yeah, this co-star of his. If you've seen like their Bare Bones trailer, which I think I saw when I went to go watch Doctor Strange, the Bare Bones trailer of it is just like they're looking up at something and this girl's like thing moves back and she's got like a disfigured face.
Yeah, that's
the sister of or not the sister, the co-star of Steven's character. So anyway, he is making a plan to like buy the horse or buy any of the stuff that's happening because it becomes known later on in the film that the presence of this thing started 6 months prior to the events that are happening now, which is actually when Otis's dad was killed.
Yeah.
So in those 6 months, he had been starting to essentially sacrifice a horse or some form of like living organic thing, so the UFO could abduct, and you know, at this point we're still thinking, oh, is it because they're probing things or they're doing this and that? Actually, we find out around this point that the UFO is a living thing
and it just eats.
It doesn't have pilots. It doesn't have alien pilots or anything like that. It's just a living organism.
Whale.
Yeah, it's an organism that decides that it's hungry. And after the decoy, it was pissed that it was being exploited, I guess. It decides to turn on
Ricky.
Yeah.
/ Glenn. We'll call him Glenn so you guys know who we're talking about.
Yeah. So that scene to me, that's when I was like, holy shit, that's terrifying.
Yep.
Like that scene was a part where I was like, okay, everything else, all this other stuff has been creepy, has been weird, but this one made it fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it fucking reminded me of Predator, honestly. Like the first one, the original one, just kind of being like at the mercy of something that, well, how the fuck are you even gonna like kill it? Like,
I don't know what I can equate it to. You know what? You know what movie, what alien movie kind of fucked me up as a kid?
Which one?
Mars Attacks.
Really? Oh yeah, you know what?
It wasn't like a. I know it was supposed to be like a comedy. It wasn't really intended to be anything super serious or anything like that.
But it was scary. Dude.
But the one scene where I here's what I remember because I haven't seen the movie in so long. But the one scene where he shrinks someone down, and then he like steps on him, and there's like a little pool of blood that comes out. That freaked me the fuck out. As I was just like, that's gross. Like I can't imagine getting smushed by an alien like that. And it actually scared me. And then of course Signs in that one scene.
Signs, bro.
So but seeing this terrified me in a different way because I imagined being in that little like claustrophobic area with everybody just like screaming and stuff.
Getting eaten. Because they show you like when Glenn has this whole like show where they summon the thing, I don't know, giant sky whale, UFO, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and he feeds them horses.
Jean Jacket.
That was the name of the horse. So I don't think they ever gave it a name, but yeah, Jean Jacket was one of the horses. So anyways, he has this thing that's called the
no, they called it Jean Jacket.
Star Rodeo.
Yeah, I know, but I mean the name of the UFO.
Oh right, yeah, okay, though. Simon, but I meant like the name of the little like show that he would do to show people like, yo, check this shit out. This is crazy, right? So he would have at his Western theme park thing every, I don't know when the fuck, they would do a whole star rodeo. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. And so that's when they would like put the horse out, let it run into the valley, and this thing would come and just fucking take it, right? But this time, because of the whole decoy shit, it was pissed. It came and took not just the horse. Actually, didn't even take the horse. Took everyone that was like watching it because you can't make eye contact with it or else like it'll be like, fuck you, I'm gonna eat you. That's one of the whole things. And so everybody was looking at it and like recording it and shit. So it ate everyone.
And that kind of falls into that whole thing about the theme of like exploitation and like spectacle, which was like the central theme of the movie. So when you see that little bit of everybody just being like, whoa, and like they all just fucking stare at it in its eyes, then it starts
sucking everyone up.
Yeah, it starts to become a thing. And then you see everybody going in and you see them kind of in this like what looks like tubes, right? Like inside.
Like at this point, I was still like, okay, so they're being abducted by aliens.
Yeah, and it looks like tubes, but then they also show this like
fleshy
kind of like
part.
A fleshy, grindy mechanism thing that it has. And you hear everybody screaming, and the screams were terrifying, bro.
Yeah,
they weren't like, ah, they were like, oh god,
yeah,
oh god.
Yeah, it was fucking unsettling.
And it was unsettling as hell. And the more unsettling part is what happens immediately after.
Yeah.
So
the
people at the ranch are still at the ranch, and they go and
Otis M and the fucking
Otis had gone to the farm to go find Lucky. Remember? Is that what
Oh yeah.
That's where he notices that it's a fucking ghost town and something went down here. So
and he almost gets eaten himself, but he gets knocked out because he hits the ceiling and falls down and knocks out.
So when the people in the farm, which is Angel and M, are recording and stuff, they all go and they take shelter inside of the house. The UFO is or jean jacket is over the house, and you can hear people screaming.
Still,
just hear like, oh my god, and then they're all yelling, and then all of a sudden silence, just complete silence, and everything just kind of like stays that way. One of the things that was happening then was that I gotta note this, because I feel like it always gets glared over, but the sound design of this movie was incredible.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Dude, the way they were doing this specific scene, it's raining, so you hear the sound of the rain hitting the roof of the farm, or of the farmhouse.
Yeah, the farmhouse.
And you hear that, but as the UFO heads over, you hear the and it stops.
Yeah.
And it's just complete silence. You just hear the screams at this point. Then the screams stop. Then slowly the sound of the
rain.
The rain starts happening there too. And you hear shit hitting the roof too. Like you hear like hard objects hitting the roof. And it becomes apparent at this point that the machine had grinded everybody up or like eaten everybody and just dispelled all of the inorganic objects and their blood.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's just
repaint the
house red.
The house. So
which was a fucking crazy scene.
One of the things that I thought was really cool about this part of the series also was what's his name? Anton? The other filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
So this guy has been going around. They had tried.
He's like the best fucking cinematographer in this universe.
They were talking about that, like him being the best, but also him being like him doing the impossible shot. Like that was one thing they were going. He was just striving for that shot over and over and over again, and he was very much this like pivotal figure, I think, to where it stopped being one about curiosity and it stopped being about like discovery about what this was, and that's when it truly became the spectacle, right? Because this guy wanted to get like, and you can see him like when he's there like editing this thing, the way that he talked was cool as shit, but also like very unsettling whenever he would say these things. That guy had the best written dialogue in my opinion. Whenever he was saying these kind of things, when he talks about the relationship between like man and beast, and he talks about like the nature of capturing something on film. All of these things I think played a really important role in the film, but they were kind of just pinned to this one man who was going to be there to help them film. Right.
And he was also there at the beginning with the fucking
horse when the horse freaked out. We didn't really talk about that much, but it was an introductory thing where they basically talked about like it did set the mood at the beginning. Just to backpedal, they're at a Hollywood set, and
Otis brings over a horse.
Otis brings a horse, and his sister shows up, and they make this whole like selling pitch about the horse and about
their history.
Because the first movie the first actual moving picture that was ever depicted was of a man on a horse, a black man on a horse who was unnamed at the time, or I think still currently unnamed, but that was a big part of that role again, spectacle, right? So the Anton comes in and he does this his role or his play is that he came in because every time that the UFO would make an appearance somehow, it caused
the
electrical
interference.
And all of the electrical stuff would just shut down. So that means all the cameras that they had wired, everything that they had planned,
all that shit would die.
So Anton brings a hand cranked film camera, and an analog camera, and it was a big part of that point where he's just kind of like trying to like set everything up to do that. So they come up with it. They devise this plan to be able to bring this thing out into the open. And they were gonna do so using those like flags, and one of the horses, right? So, as they're doing
the little fucking shaky people thing from car lots.
Oh yeah, that's right. And as they're doing that, actually that was genius. I think the little inflatable waving tube man, those things were there because they needed to detect the electrical interference and what part of it was because they couldn't see it in the sky. So as soon as those wacky waving inflatable tube men would stop working, they knew that the UFO
thing was like over it.
Area. Yeah. Their plan kind of gets, and this was, I think, again, also one of those things that needed to be kind of like, hey, this again, the theme about this is the spectacle. A TMZ reporter shows up.
Oh yeah,
and I thought that was super out of place. But the TMZ reporter shows up with a camera and starts like filming shit, and is like this mysterious figure in
a mirrored helmet.
The fucking helmet and the design of that costume was dope. But it was a shiny like chrome helmet with one eye thing that was open, and he had just like a bunch of like video gear that he was getting ready to do it. So he was like, I heard about this thing happening here, whatever. They're telling him like, nah, man, you got to turn around, whatever. The guy's like, fuck you, goes around and starts heading down the
where they have the whole setup.
Yeah, where they have the setup ready for Jean Jacket. And I think Angel, again, my personal favorite character, I think, of Angel is like, hey, what happens when you have an electric bike that meets electrical interference and it shuts off automatically? So the guy's going, and then he's just, you see him like from afar, and then he falls off the bike.
Yeah, like fucking
and like
crazy.
Breaks his leg or something, whatever, right? And what's his name? Otis decides to go out and try and save him.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick that up?
Yeah, so he goes out there to try to save him, kind of fails, and like he's like, fuck it, I guess it's you or me. And then the guy gets eaten, he runs back, and then the fucking Jean Jacket is just kind of like going off he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat everybody now. So then he goes towards where the camera guy is at with Angel. They survive. Honestly, at that point in time, camera guy runs off with his camera for some reason. Like, he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get a crazy ass shot, and he ends up getting eaten.
I didn't know what that was about, but I just remember like his last.
Pull up to Calle Ocho Hype and Hobbies and send some motherfuckers to the Shadow Realm, because every Saturday they got Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, and if you fucking thought that was cool, guess what, dude? They got some baller ass shoes. They got Jordans. They got Yeezys. They got SBs. They got anything that you might need. You got a special request? DM them. Find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Calle Apparel, or find them on Instagram at Calle Hype. And if you want to come and visit the store, you know where the fuck it's located at, dude?
It's 1003 Garfield Street in Laredo.
If the shoes weren't enough, if sending your opponents into the Shadow Realms wasn't enough, guess what, dude? They also have anime collectibles. They got knickknacks, and guess what? They also have fucking patty wax,
Holy
dude.
shit.
They got all sorts of knickknacks, all sorts of fucking patty wax. And if you go online to their website, you know what the website is? You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
All right, dude. So you get on your computer, and then you type in GaiochoHype.com. Now, you're going to buy something, right? And you're like, my homies, do they got me? Do they got me? Guess what, dude? We got you, because if you're on checkout and you put in the promo code AOTB, guess what, dude? 10%?
10%, dude.
We're putting that shit in the trunk of our car and stabbing it so that it doesn't go with you on your fucking cards.
The line
we
was, I don't deserve the impossible.
Yeah.
So he heads out there and gets eaten. And the film gets lost because of that too, right?
Yeah, some of it. But some of it they kept because of the first, they changed film.
Oh, the reel. That's right.
They changed the reels. I thought Angel was about to die a horrible death.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he wraps himself in fucking barbed wire.
Which is what saves him.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, how did you not get like chopped in half? I was like, he's going to accidentally chop himself in half. That's what I thought was going to happen.
That barbed wire bit is also like a pivotal moment because
the thing eats it, and he's like, oh, fuck.
It eats it and it deflates. And it starts this weird, which I did not, I didn't understand that part. but
it just shows like its true fucking
yeah,
form
it turns into like this jellyfish kind of
thing,
looking
like
thing.
a giant Pokemon in the sky.
It looked nuts, and it had this weird like shifting thing. It was surreal, honestly.
It was fucking dope.
That
dude. I was like, what
that
the
bit
fuck?
I think was also to be like resembling a like a camera lens. Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought that's what that was doing, but I really didn't get the point of that as a whole. I thought maybe to me, and this is just kind of like going off of like an analysis and like that point of view. I was thinking maybe it was like this beautiful creature had to disguise itself as like something ominous for the spectacle or whatever, but this is like its form or whatever.
And it looked really crazy. Like,
yeah.
It looked like, what the fuck? Like, if you would see that in the sky, you'd be like, what
You'd
the
freak the fuck out for sure.
going on?
Yeah, and seeing that thing. So at this point, I think to save M, Otis lures this thing away while M tries to. What does she do? She also
she's like, no, I'm gonna save you, and then gets on the bike.
Yeah,
and then runs off, and then the thing turns around and is like, oh, I'm gonna eat that instead.
Yeah,
and then she goes all the way to Glenn's
ranch.
amusement park thing, and jumps off of the bike and like hides kind of. And at the amusement park, they have a well that has a camera at the very bottom that like for a quarter or whatever the fuck you can take like a picture.
And it takes a picture
upwards.
Yeah. So like if you're looking down at it, it'll take a picture of you. But I was taking a picture upwards of the sky.
Yeah, pretty much. Like if there's nothing in the way, it's just the sky. And so she lures the animal over towards the ranch, and they like take picture. She ends up being able to take a picture of it. She releases like this giant Glen balloon that goes up into the sky, and it has eyes, right? 'Cause it's a balloon of Glen. So it's looking at the monster thing, and then it tries to eat it, and it fucking like explodes and dies.
Yeah, it popped. It looked cool.
It looks
that
super
burst
cool.
of nuts just out in the sky, and at this point we thought Otis was dead.
Yeah.
Right. But he shows up, looking
on
like
a horse.
hero,
Yeah.
on a horse, and that was that.
And then that was in the movie, but like the picture, like I don't know, the picture probably. I wonder what happened after. Like I want to know what the fuck happens next, because like now they have a crazy ass picture of this thing in the sky that looks fucking insane. Like
yeah,
and it's not like if you were in the distance, you would have seen all of this shit. Like if you're just in the distance and you're like, what the fuck? Like there's a giant jellyfish in the sky. Like that's what I was thinking the entire time. I was like, if you're like in the town that's close by and you just look over yonder, like fuck, there's just a fucking thing in the sky. Like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like,
and
it's
the pop
huge.
was probably audible too.
Yeah, as fuck.
It's loud.
And then like fucking news and police and all that shit comes
And I
up.
do think that the news did show up for the people who were missing from from the ranch also. So that was also a point of discussion in the series. But I don't know, man. I think after the movie, I definitely felt like I had
like
to,
I wanted to go see some shit.
I was like I had to digest it a little bit, like because I think we were like and this is why this episode is so late too, because we were at this point we were like, are we gonna go cast about it or what? And we were like, I kind of got to sit on this shit a little bit, I think. And so yeah, and I had a discussion with CEO, who's supposed to be here, but scheduling stuff is just weird. But CEO did mention like her first, and I think she nailed it without even me like trying to think about it. She was like, she just said like it was about American voyeurism and the need to consume content, and to do that at regardless of whatever the expense is or whoever it's affecting. And I thought that was a really cool analysis of the film, because we do talk a lot about like, even and maybe this is like a little bit like tied towards the end of the film, but even if there's people being hurt in the process, or if there's some sort of like morbid story behind all of that, that's not important to the people who are going to eventually consume the content, right? Like they want to see what they want to see. and not worry about like the backstory behind it. So even if it's something morbid, and still, it's still worth a watch. You know?
Yeah.
So
And that goes like all the videos of the early internet, fucking, you know, all the cartel videos, all the fucking Two Guys One Hammer.
yeah.
Fucking,
Oh, sure.
like,
Yeah. The violent pornography kind of stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Me personally, I was thinking more, especially because it was like this, but I was thinking more of like the sense of like Hollywood, like the way that, you know, it chews up and spits out actors and actresses and really has an effect on all these people, because we talk about people who are undergoing like mental episodes all the time, right? And it's seemingly always in the realm of people who are young, aspiring, you know, stars. Oh, you know what's a good topic to tie into this? My girlfriend's been reading the Jeanette McCurdy. Is that her name?
yeah, Janet McCurdy.
Janet McCurdy.
She's the blonde girl from iCarly.
Yeah, she wrote a memoir, or I guess like a biography or something, whatever, autobiography of it's called I'm glad my mom died, or I'm happy my mom died, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And it's a deep dive into her time as a young you know,
Starlet.
young starlet. Yeah, sure. And they talk, there's a, from some of the stuff that she's telling me, and I say she as in my girlfriend, from what she's telling me, because she's reading the book, I definitely want to give it a read, because I think what she mentioned was that this is like the highest the most sold celebrity memoir, celebrity book, whatever. And there's a lot of talks about like abuse and these kind of things. She names people, or she can't name people apparently because of the you know, like the legality of it, I guess. But she alludes to people who are like, you know, the creator, and people who
yeah, I've seen a lot of that shit.
Like, yeah, people who had her do shit in the
one of the things that I came across on TikTok was about that specifically, and that was it. I don't know if it was Dan Harmon. Was he the creator of iCarly?
Dan Harmon? No, that Dan Schneider.
Dan Schneider.
Dan Harmon's Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay, never mind. Not Dan Harmon. Dan Schneider. That
also has some
stories.
Some stories, yeah.
With Dan Schneider, that a lot of the times he would like give her alcohol and like encourage her to like dress in bikinis and like shit like that, like for dress rehearsal and weird shit, like to Janet McCurdy, and like just weird shit like that. And then apparently like one of the conspiracies out there is that the whole what the fuck was the name of Britney Spears' younger sister? Jamie Lynn Spears.
Jamie Lynn?
She had that one show, something 101, Zoe 101?
Zoe 101.
They got canceled because she got pregnant or whatever the fuck, but that Dan was the father and all this other shit. And
oh, goddamn.
And then they show pictures of like the daughter now and like side by side with like Dan, and like the fucking eyebrow structure and shit is like crazy similar. Like, oh shit.
I haven't seen all that, but I do know, and this isn't like a conspiracy thing or anything or speculation, but I do know that the reason why I guess this was also so, I guess, popular, or it was like a bestseller or whatever, is because Nickelodeon offered to pay Janet McCurdy
to not release
the book.
Yeah, 100%.
And she was like, "Fuck off," right? And so she released the book. But yeah, so I mean, this goes into that whole thing again about like Hollywood and the way it consumes people, and the weirdness of it all. Like how right now, like really, there's not really things that are in play to discourage that, because I mean, even if you think about it, like if you think about the Weinstein stuff, right? Like Harvey,
yeah.
If you think about that, like that was a pretty like prevalent conversation that was happening at the time. You know, that was even just like 2-3 years ago with the whole Me Too movement and stuff that started because of that. But a lot of people sought to discredit those stories. And they sought to discredit them because it was like, you know, once you give people like the power of having a voice in their stories and stuff like that, and going into being able to talk about like their their abuse, their experience, then you open the floodgates, and which is what the Me Too movement was. Now, yeah, sure, there are some caveats, some things here and there that did kind of take steam off of that movement, or made it like a very disingenuous kind of thing, which caused cancellation of people who arguably are like still working to make amends or whatever now. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless of it, that whole thing is like, it took so fucking long for any of that information to come out, because this guy was still in a place of power enough so that it could be a career deciding move, or could your career could be
Miramax, dude. Bunch of fucking amazing movies.
Your career could just completely implode if you chose to like speak up, or if you chose to refuse, doing whatever it was that they're asking you to do, which is completely fucked to think about. So yeah, man, that's kind of just like where that was at. And I think that, that's that theme of like, okay, yeah, but these were such great movies and produced by people that were like amazing or whatever. And I can ignore what happens outside of that series, or outside of that movie, or whatever content I'm consuming is difficult. And it's something I think that I've struggled with a lot. Like there are plenty of comedians who were part of, not even just like the Me Too movement, but who had a lot of allegations come up after the fact, and they're just not as popular or as open to producing shit now, because they've made a mistake that they can't recover from, and maybe that goes into a whole other conversation about like the opposite of it, like cancel culture and that kind of stuff. But for the sake of this movie and the themes behind it, definitely voyeurism and the whole idea
soft disclosure
of like a spectacle. Yeah, maybe that too. Because we did have a long conversation about how recently a lot of movies that have been coming out had been tied to things that were like extraterrestrial, or like whether it was a threat or not, like these kind of things that are coming up. And maybe that like maybe there's also some stuff in there about like blood sacrifices in Hollywood or shit. Some shit like that.
Yeah. Also, like, to move away from that and towards a different type of like fucking conspiratorial realm, I had never ever thought about like, what if they're just like organisms?
Yeah, that was, I think, a big part.
I enjoyed that twist because I had never once like thought about that.
And that's what, whenever I talk about the movie to other people, like, because I've been like, hey, have you watched Nope? And they're like, no, isn't it just a UFO story? I'm like, it's a UFO story, a classic UFO story that puts a huge twist on it that makes it like, it opens the realm to so many other possibilities, like it's not. There's something, I think, a little more sinister to it being a massive organism that comes in and disguised as something that we...
Like, where the fuck does it come from?
Yeah,
like, what the
right.
fuck?
Are there
more than one?
More? Yeah. There's something more sinister about that than having it be like, this is a ship,
a machine that's used by other things.
That's being piloted by
like something that's somewhat familiar because it's like a humanoid type thing.
Right, exactly.
Versus like it's just a completely new thing.
Like a fucking world eater and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's also there's these things that like the concept isn't necessarily new, because there's an idea of like, extraterrestrial organisms that are like world eaters, or like massive otherworldly organisms, like even like Cthulhu is like a thing, right? But this one, I think, is just like the idea of something that's already terrifying, and then you put a spin on it as like, this is terrifying, but it's also
gonna eat you.
Something new completely, right? Yeah. So and shit, man, maybe that's an angle that we never really thought about in terms of
saying, because like, what if all those fucking things did? All right, so like in UFO fucking whatever the fuck, the biggest thing that just happened recently was the whole JRE with Jeremy Corbell.
Tell me about it.
All right, so he came on, right? And so those of you guys that don't know, Jeremy Corbell is the director of the Area 51 documentary about Bob Lazar. I was going to say Laser, but Bob Lazar. That's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's fucking crazy. It's good. And he's been on, when the documentary dropped a couple of years ago, he was on with Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar retells his story that he's been telling since the fucking 80s, whatever. And this time he came back on, and the focus was more so now like, okay, so yeah, they're putting out all these videos and shit that the government is essentially saying like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck that is. It's not ours, and it's not like any other countries either, because they're seeing it in war zones and stuff like that, like in the Middle East or whatever the fuck. And apparently like we've fired on some and like all this shit. But the whole thing that I think was like the main point, other than just like, oh, I've seen other things that are like insane that are still classified that we can't put out just yet, was like the legislation that's going behind this upcoming year in a bill that has been controversial since it started, the NDAA, the something, I forgot the entire name, but it's like something Defense Authorization Act. And so in that, a lot of crazy shit has gotten passed under the umbrella of that entire thing.
The
like
National Defense
Authorization Act. Right. So a lot of, when it first started, it was crazy because it was like, oh, now you can get thrown in jail indefinitely without any reason or reasonable cause or anything like that. And that was like the biggest thing that happened back when it was like the Patriot Act and all this other shit. And then Obama ran on like, I'm going to repeal the NDAA or whatever the fuck, comes into office, extends it, and extends a lot of the provisions under that bill that are like very intrusive into our rights as like U.S. citizens or whatever, right? And so I, knowing all of that, when he brought that up, I was like, I have my fucking gripes with what it is as a whole. But in the bill, they're now including like protections for individuals in positions that have like non-disclosure agreements with their employers, a lot of them being in the government, that there can't be any
classifications, top secret stuff.
Yeah, like so besides that, like if they are to be whistleblowers with this phenomena or whatever the fuck on UAPs, since they renamed it or whatever, or UFOs if you will, they're now protected in the law from having any sort of recourse from like their superiors against them. So, and then there's also like a fund that's exclusively dedicated to like helping people that may be in some NDAAs and stuff like that. So it's essentially saying like, if you have an NDAA from your employer, whether it's from the government or a contracted entity or otherwise, and you see some shit, you can forego that non-disclosure agreement and like come out and we got your back. Like it's now part of the law. It's going to be a part of the law in 2023.
So you think there's going to be more of a
disclosure? Yes. And
damn, bro.
So like now it's in the law, but again, like the bill that it's under is like there's a lot of shit that is not cool inside of that bill at the same time. So I don't know if it's kind of like it could be like a. So let's put it somewhere where it's bullshit. Like there's a bunch of bullshit, and then maybe they'll be like, "Fuck that," and then do away with that all completely. I don't know. It feels like 4D chess kind of. Is there also like,
I mean, because I kind of feel like there's always this idea of like things being redacted or being put under an NDA because they are going to classify it as like, oh, this is a threat to national security.
So that's one of the other things that they talked about, the over-classification of things. Like people that have like higher level security clearance can go so far as like in their agenda for the day or whatever, like they'll redact shit that's not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to go have lunch with this person at this place at this time. They'll just like block everything out like because it's classified or whatever. But it's not really like they're just using it like as a broad fucking paintbrush to just classify a whole bunch of shit. Like if we
classify a bunch of shit.
Like this episode is not classified, so go to patreon.com to hear the rest.
Yeah.
Not playing.
That would be kind of
guess
fun.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like a paywall.
Yeah.
No, yeah, man. I mean, shit, that's fucked up.
So that was the biggest takeaway other than like him being like, dude, there's like this crazy fucking shit that I can't even, he was like, I'll show you, but like we can't show it. Like, because it's still under classification
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck. So.
That's wild.
And so he's saying like he's in a weird position because he was like kind of trying to do away with the whole concept of him being like this. He's like the UFO guy, and he's like not really. Like he really wasn't. Like it was something that he was interested about, and then like the whole Bob Lazar thing happened, and then since even before him putting that out, like people would come to him to be like, hey, look at what I saw. And he was like, fuck, like, I don't want to be the one that has to, like, put all this shit out. Like,
yeah, you
like,
know, they made him an authority on something that he didn't want to be an authority on. Yeah, and also because, I mean, I feel like that would draw a shit ton of heat if you're, like,
100%, dude.
Like, you're in that area. Damn, dude. Like, I mean, so...
It was a fucking good episode. I heard the entire one. Like, it was almost, like, 3 hours, I think. But
oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm going to check it out. I do think, I don't know, I do think just like, and we talk about it, some would say too much, but
not enough.
The conversation of like soft disclosure and stuff has really just been like leading, like culminating, I think, to eventually like something's going to come up that we're going to be like, oh
and
shit.
The other thing that I told you about that was crazy, the whole nephilim thing.
Oh, so
this is crazy, and this is real.
So what was it? A few nights ago, Josh and I stayed up till like 3 a.m, and we were playing something. I don't know. I don't remember. He was playing Call of Duty. I was playing like Tetris or some shit.
Yeah.
And we were just chatting, and Josh got to the weird part of TikTok, which I did not know existed, and I now
that's the only reason why I'm on there.
Now, and I started checking out like some stuff on there too. There are people right now who are claiming some really weird stuff. And oddly enough, last night I saw on Nuke's Top 5, one of the things that was being claimed about people who are like...
I'm on video number 5 or 6.
Oh,
so
bro, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm going to have to.
Do it. I don't care. I'll still watch it.
There's a video of what looks like a person walking in the sky.
Oh shit! What the?
And
fuck?
it's not. Is
that one of the last ones that you were saying was
it's
cool?
It's the last one.
Oh, okay. Is it from India?
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think it's like Norway or something like that. I don't know. But it's this beautiful fucking landscape. All this area or whatever. And there are these people who are, I guess, like they're tourists or like they're traveling or whatever. They're backpacking, and they see this thing, and these guys are zooming in on it, and it has what looks like very distinguishable legs and arm features, and it's going, and what looks like a very slow pace is just kind of moving. It looks like it's walking through the air. And so,
damn, that's cool.
So a bunch of people see it, and they all see it from different angles, and they're all like, "What the fuck? Like, oh my god, what is that? It kind of looks like a person. Like, what's going on here and there?" I remember it's moving in that area. So the next day, the people who caught the video are leaving, and they get in a bus, and they're looking out the window of the bus to see if they can see the thing kind of in the area where they figured where it was at. And remember, it's traveling at a very slow pace. They don't see it when they're recording or whatever, but the people, I mean, they posted it or whatever, and the people who were looking at it found it. And it looks like it's kind of blended in because it's kind of more or less the same shadowy kind of, like, you know, when you see somebody at a distance, they're just a figure, right? Well, it's the same kind of thing. You see the figure kind of looking like it's moving, but it's camouflaged by all of the background of the
clouds, or
the background of the trees. It's like a mountainous area.
Gotcha.
So a mountainous kind of like foresty
predator shit.
Yeah. But it's from far away, dude. So it's like you see a tree and you see a person, like they're kind of like, you know, they at a certain distance they're kind of the same thing. It blurs out. But they find it, and it looks weird because it's as the bus is moving, the thing's moving also, and it kind of creates this like field thing or whatever where you can distinguish it once you see it, and it's in the air, floating, just suspended. And so I started looking at things on TikTok. There are more
of that.
There are more of that kind of phenomenon going on, where people are saying that they're seeing people walking in the sky. And I remember seeing, claims of that happening in places like Sinaloa, right? Where they were saying that it's like a
witch.
No, actually, they're saying that they were angels because there's multiple people walking in an area in a certain formation, and they imagine them. they
I don't think I ever saw that video.
You never saw that?
No.
So they say, and it might have been faked, whatever, but that's the first one I remember seeing where it looks like they're angels and it looks like they're holding something, and people said that was their trumpets. This was like the whole ushering in of the second coming of Christ or something.
The only one that I've seen that is in that same vein was a while back, and it was in India. And they were like at one of those temple things, like the older Hinduish temple.
Right.
And there's a fucking person in the sky, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And it's just like, "What's up?"
It's just moonwalking in the fucking sky.
It gives them a hee hee and then just fucking disappears, dude.
It
was a Layuwaki, dude.
So we were talking about these things that we were seeing, and there was even like the one that I found fucking hilarious was the dragon one.
That was so stupid, dude.
I
don't know, dude. Check this shit out.
There was this one guy who's just like, and he's got that like voice, like this like really, like nerdy voice. He was just like, "Hey guys, I don't know if you've seen, but in Japan there's real life proof evidence of dragons, fire breathing dragons. They're real. They're among us. Look at this video." And then
it's like a fucking
it looks like a fucking it looks like it's from afar. You just see this like glowing area. And then I'm like, oh, is it that thing? And then it just looks like something breathes fire down on the.
Yeah.
It looks like some shit out of Game of Thrones.
For real,
And
the last episode.
And then it's funny because like it looks faked, right?
Super fucking.
And then the guy cuts back and he's like, I don't know about you guys, but that looked like a dragon to me. And
it's so stupid.
For that part of TikTok's hilarious, but there is some shit in there that's like questionable.
The
like
craziest thing that I found so far was the thing I told you about with so if you guys recall in 2016 the whole Hillary Clinton emails, whatever the fuck, right? All this shit. So they're available on the Freedom of Information Act website where you can just search through each of the things, right? And if you go and you search up the word Nephilim, there's an email that Hillary had sent requesting the burial place or something I forgot the exact phrase that she uses, but essentially asking like, hey, where was that spot where we found the Nephilim, whatever, right? And so it's like, what the fuck? Like, what is that doing in the emails? And like, there's a lot of different things that are in there that are very, very fucking weird, like the whole spirit cooking thing, adrenochrome, fucking.
How do you spell that? Nephilim?
Nephilim. Nephilim. And so it's in there, and like it's in an email where she's like requesting the location of the I don't know what.
The Nephilim are mysterious beings or people in the Hebrew Bible who are large and strong. The word Nephilim is loosely translated as giants in some other translations of the Hebrew Bible, but left untranslated in others. Jewish explanations interpret them as hybrid sons of fallen angels.
So the concept behind what the Nephilim are. In the Bible, the one like the mainstream Bible that everybody knows is they say that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and took them as wives and had offspring called the Nephilim. And in the book of Enoch, it goes a step further to explain that the angels that had fallen, which were the Watchers, that decided to have relations or like have sex with fucking human women and create children, taught women like witchcraft and Enochian, which is like the angel language. Not necessarily witchcraft, but like how to manipulate and use things that angels knew how to do, right? It was so like technically witchcraft or whatever the fuck. They taught women that, and then this other fallen angel / watcher taught men how to create war and like warcraft and shit like that. So they corrupted both mankind, right? Like men and women. And then that's why God was like, dude, fuck this. Let's flood the planet, kill everything off, and just save like this one Noah family or whatever the fuck to like repopulate the entire planet from here on out. So a lot of different interpretations have gone through like what the Nephilim are.
Hillary Clinton summoning Gilgamesh and buried Nephilim. That's crazy.
I'm fucking telling you, so crazy. It's other interpretations of what like the Nephilim were or are, if they were like this hybrid sons of God / or offsprings of fallen angels and women, right? Is like that they were the heroes of the Greek pantheon and like these great figures or whatever the fuck. Like they kind of interpret them to like if they existed or whatever. Like that's maybe where the lore came from and the mythos and all of that of like Zeus and Hercules and the concept of demigods and all this other stuff. Like kind of comes from that. And there's this one video that is going around that is weird because it's supposed to be from when the whole Iraq invasion happened back in 2002.
Yeah.
And it shows this being, and supposedly a giant that's like fucking well preserved, right? It has like red beard and shit. And like appears to be like in a suspended animation or whatever, but it's like huge. And people think that it's like Nimrod or Gilgamesh and like the fucking king nephilim person of like the last time. And there's a lot of different interpretations that apparently like that was the host of like the spirit of Lucifer. I don't know. It gets really fucking crazy, dude. But
yeah, that sounds crazy.
I mean, it's really crazy, but like it boils down to the concept of like entities that have a specific version of DNA that were then wiped out to leave another untainted version of DNA, like our human DNA now, around. And like that's the whole concept of like why the flood happened and the deluge and all this other shit. And then there's evidence that it did happen, right? So I don't know.
That's fucking wild. I mean,
it's pretty cool. It'll be our next 4DF.
Yeah. No, wait. Is it? Is it gonna be our next 4DF?
I'm down. I don't know. It's up there.
Okay, it's in the clouds.
Yeah.
We need to figure that out before September 1st. Actually.
Yeah.
Our next one's gonna be September 2nd. Are we good? Should we?
Yeah, we're like at 120, 115.
I think that's a good
wrapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our next 40F is going to be on September 2nd. The last one was cool as shit, actually. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't a massive crowd, but it was a nice
very
little
interactive,
very intimate crowd. Liz and Zio did an amazing job as being our guest panelists, and so thank you to them, and thank you to you guys who showed up to support. Our next one, like I said, is going to be on September 2nd. Topic on that one's kind of pending. What's coming up?
What are some of the things that we had in the year besides what we just talked about? Like, let's go into a deep dive.
Dude, I feel the need to rehash dead celebrities. Just because the more recent stuff that's come up, whatever, of like the celebrities that are coming up that are dying mysteriously is just kind of like
who? What the fuck?
Well, I mean, we'll talk about that in another. That's saved content, bro.
All right, fine.
There are people who like.
Give me just one. Give me one.
Oh, dude, the whole thing about Chris Cornell and fucking what's his name, Chester Bennington.
Oh yeah.
There's like things about those who have like come up under like mysterious circumstances regarding their deaths and
Look, okay, let's park that there and let me bring this back to the Clinton shit.
Okay,
this is part of the Clinton body count.
Yeah,
there is this one person that was. I forgot exactly what they were tied to, but I think it had to do with like the whole Epstein thing, that committed suicide and apparently drove himself 30 miles away from his home to this empty like farm place, hung himself and shot himself in the chest with a shotgun, and they ruled it a suicide.
There was what was it called?
Look it up. It's crazy.
I just read this recently. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was on Conspiracy. I follow. Let me see. Oh yeah, here. Aaron Swartz, the old CEO of Reddit. He got suicided for exposing the government. He fought for free speech on Reddit and got fired for it. This guy who was exposing plans to have the whole like freedom of speech thing kind of like stomped because they wanted to really work with the idea of influencing the election, just like they were talking about Russia doing. Yeah, so it was a whole conversation that happened there. But yeah, he's not necessarily a celebrity, but there's a lot of stuff I think we could dive into regarding like people who are like exposing things or talking about certain things. I know one of the things because when we did the Dead Celebrities episode, was not dating CO, and CO is very adamant that Brittany Murphy was one of the victims of Hollywood.
I believe it, man.
And there was a what's it called? There's a whole documentary that came out about Brittany Murphy, and there was a lot of weird shit that went down. So we can talk about different things like that. But that's one of the ones in the air.
Let's end on this note because it kind of ties into the whole Hollywood thing.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard about Isaac Cappy?
No.
Okay, so Isaac Cappy is this one dude that was, I believe, friends with Seth Green at one point, and he was in that Hollywood stuff. He started posting a lot of videos about all this crazy, weird, like sex magic, weird pedophilia stuff that was happening around him, and even talked about like Seth Green having this whole like sex dungeon thing / like ritual room that was hidden in his house that he showed him, and told him like straight out like, yeah, we fucking do X, Y, and Z in here or whatever the fuck. As he started putting out like more videos and content or whatever, people say he started to lose his mind, but he was saying that they were doing shit to him, whether it was like, like witchcraft or whatever the fuck remains unknown. And ultimately he took his own life by jumping off of the freeway overpass onto traffic. But like,
Jesus.
Yeah, he made it known apparently he's like, I do not want to kill myself. Like posted one of those videos type of thing. Later, like a couple days later, boom, suicide.
Just like Elon Musk, who was like, hey, I've been exposing a lot of stuff, so if I die under mysterious circumstances,
Yeah.
There was we keep saying we'll end on this note, but to that note, there was a video that I saw not long ago about different celebrities who expose things that are happening in the whole like Hollywood scene, and one of them was this whole idea about like if you go to like a party, they do things where they ask you for your blood type, they take blood samples of you, they make you sign like non-disclosure stuff. They basically do this whole fucking thing of that, and apparently on one thing to get into this, they have to film you doing something gay or like doing something
I've
like not, I guess, like suggestive and not necessarily gay, but doing something that
like homoerotic or whatever.
Doing something that would be scandalous, I guess. So it was either like nudity or any of these kind of things, whatever they have to have proof of you doing something like this or whatever. And I guess the idea is so like if you happen to go and expose people or expose like these things, they have dirt on you. Yeah. So you have a reason to not say something if not they're like.
What happened to the good old days where it was just like, dude, you got to kill someone, so like we'll kill someone too.
Fucking, dude, I don't know, man, but there's a lot of that shit it has been coming up recently in like conversations. I think that's a good 40F. But we'll see where it comes up because
Hollywood.
But yeah, that's about it. Hey, check out the Mic Drop 956. That's the where the comedy stuff's been popping off recently. The last show was sold out. And give a shout out to comics Matt Boyd, Mary Picarazzi, I think Picarizzi. I don't know how to say your last name. Isabel Carroza, and of course Aaron Suarez and Francisco Flores, Frankie Flowers. Everybody fucking killed on that show and sold it out. I think it was the first sold out show that we had. So
yeah, there was like standing room only.
It was nuts. And shout out to Josh for helping out also at the door, man. But I'm stoked for the next one because it's going to be on El 16 de Septiembre. And
nice.
I'm thinking about having Ivan headline that one. So I'll see how that's going to go. But either way, it should be a fun time. Follow us at the Mic Drop so you have an idea. When this airs, I think it'll be 7 p.m. If you're watching it and you've gotten to this point, you have half an hour to get to the Mic Drop. So
yeah.
So go and check that out. But other than that, hey, Patreon.com. Yeah, check out patreon.com/AOTBcast. You'll be able to find bonus episodes on there, ad-free episodes on there,
lost episodes,
and just exclusive content that we'll have on there for y'all. We're working on a lot of new stuff right now. We are going to double up on episodes this week, so I think this one will come out Thursday. We can get another one out maybe by Saturday.
That's it, right? Oh, all the patrons.
Yeah, shout out to all our patrons, man. We've got Isaac, we've got Ernie, we've got Miss Lemon, we've got
Mr. Lemon,
Mr. Lemon, Mr. Av, Kevin kind of fit. Who's is
Monica?
Monica.
I forgot her last name. Sorry.
And Ivan.
Ivan.
Yeah, Mr. Spanish Evan.
Peter
and
Marlene, perhaps maybe still.
Yeah, and I don't know how many other people.
That was it.
Was it? Cool. Yeah. Hey guys, so we're here, and this is just not necessarily a plea, but we're trying to have things kind of be self-sustaining, so we can get away from the ads and kind of work more on the content and not having to worry about like sponsors and stuff like that. So if you want to sponsor the podcast, by all means, but if not, we would really just appreciate your help on Patreon. If we can get up to like 30 to 40 like supporters on there, this would become self-sustaining. We'd be able to pay rent for the studio, and we'd be able to do whatever the fuck we want regarding everything. So it really would help us out if you could please just like, hey, if you're already a patron, consider going up to the next tier. If you enjoy the stuff that you've been seeing.
I got an idea for the next episode. What if we just set up in the back a Cultura prior to the mic drop, and we just shoot it there?
We can see if it's something we can discuss. Let's see why not.
All right.
But hey, so yeah, man. As you see, we're working on things to set everything up. But if we appreciate your support. If you really enjoy what you've been seeing, consider going up to the next tier. Maybe that would really help us out.
For sure.
Otherwise,
keep showing us love, and we'll show you love.
Yeah, love you. Thanks so much. Follow us on Instagram at AOTBcast. Love you. Bye.
Bye.